sky, take you on a ride, love to feel the high.
Okay, listen, thanks a lot for your feedback. I'm currently working as a saleswoman in home decor, and I want to get back into using software tools. I've already heard about HomeByMe, but I've never used it. Well, that's great. It's awesome because we have several different backgrounds here. Most of you are discovering this for the first time. Some of you are in design or changing careers and discovering HomeByMe, so that's fantastic. We're going to be able to start together. So, to explain how this is going to work, I'm going to switch over, share my screen with you, and log into my OMI profile to open a project for you. In fact, I'll open a project and build it with you. I won't be able to see your comments if you comment while I'm working on the project. But on the other hand, my team will be able to answer your questions if you want. Just so you know, we'll have a Q&A session at the end, so don't hesitate if you have very technical questions. You can ask them again at the end, and I can come back to the project no problem. I wish you a great masterclass. I'm going to share my screen right now. Hopefully the whole screen. All right. There we go. And normally, that should do it. Can you see my screen share? You can see my screen share. Perfect. And I'll turn off the camera so we don't have any glitches. Perfect. So when you open Omami, you'll land on this page. If you haven't created a project yet, you won't have no projects. Actually, this is a profile page. You won't have any projects, and you'll just need to click on Create a Project. Now, you'll arrive at the new player. So for those who use the old planner, there are quite a few changes, but you'll see that it's just as easy to use. That's really Umbami's strength. It's a tool that's super easy to pick up and very intuitive. And you can really model things very, very quickly with it. So to start, first create your project. For anyone who's already used a modeling tool, the foundation of design is really to create your room first. Whether it's a whole house, a full apartment, even a building, or just a single room, don't hesitate to really create your entire space. So here, it's very simple. I've got a little pen that guides me, and I just have to mark stopping points to position my walls correctly. Once that's done, make sure to close off your round. It's really important to close your room so that the space is actually created. If your room stays open, obviously your walls won't be, your room won't be created. Click on Finish, and down here you can see the different views in Omami. So here you're in 2D view. This is exactly the view you'll have every time you design and create walls. You can easily switch to 3D to check what you've done. And you can see that your walls have already been built in 3D. That's really the strength of Omami. You can switch from 2D to 3D in just a few moments. Once you've done that, you saw that I didn't focus at all on the dimensions, because that comes later. You simply click on each wall and resize your walls to the dimensions you want. It's really up to you to specify the measurements you want for each wall. So here, I'm only dealing with the interior dimensions of my room. It all depends on whether you have an architectural plan next to you or if you're importing a plan, because you can also import a plan into the software. Home by Me right here, by clicking here. To have, that's not. Yes, it's there, but I need to save first. But this feature lets you import an architectural plan. Yes. If you're working with an architect or your client sent you their plan, you can easily import it into Home by Me and draw your walls directly on top of it. Otherwise, you just do exactly what I did. You draw your walls directly in Home by Me. So here, you resize everything, and you can see that Home by Me automatically calculates what you've done. Here, we're gonna resize as well, for example, to 240. Each time you apply it below, the walls move. And here, we're gonna set it to 360. And now, since we have a wall that's a bit bigger, we can resize it. I switched to 3D and I can see that my room has been created. Once you've created your room, you'll need to place all the openings. By openings, I mean all the fixtures, so doors, windows, any kind of opening. Here you have the catalog, and you have structure and architecture, and just below that, doors and windows. Omami categorizes all the elements for you. You'll find subtabs that let you choose interior doors, windows, exterior doors, and so on. Let's say we're going to design a master suite. We'll select an interior door. You can choose the doors. OMME has a very comprehensive catalog that lets you choose all the elements you want to include in your project. Here, for example, you pick the door you want, and you add it directly into your project. The new feature in Ombami is that you can drag and drop the object straight into your project. You don't have to click on it to add it. Here, I just dragged it into my project, and it fits right onto the walls. Just so you know, all doors and all woodwork, so doors and windows, have to be placed on a wall. You simply can't place your door in an empty space. Once you've added it, of course you can resize it. Here, I've got a 90. I'm going to put my door down at the bottom instead. You can resize it by clicking on Edit. And you have several features here. That doesn't change. You can change the height and the length, so the height and width. You can change the position along the wall, the direction, and all the materials. If you switch to 3D, you'll see my door is white. You can change all the materials. The color of the door handles, the color of the decoration, and the color of the frames, whether it's inside or outside, no problem. You just have to click here, and you'll see several subtabs that let you navigate and choose exactly what you want. I'll show you. Actually, I'll take this opportunity to show you a new feature. So here, for example, I'm choosing wood. I choose the door for the wood of my choice. For example, let's go with this one, which has been placed on this side. No, that's the decorative one. Let's go here. Wood. And we'll choose this one, which has been set on the other side. Exactly. So now I've chosen this wood. Of course, I need to put exactly the same material on all the elements of my door. To avoid having to search for it again in the tab, you have a new tab here, Recent, and you'll find the same material there. This lets you use it directly on all the elements of your door. Click Recent, and you use it. Scroll down, Frame, Recent, and you use it, and it applies directly to your element. It's an incredible time saver. It takes 30 seconds, and there you go, my door's done on both sides. You can do this for all your elements, whether it's the windows, furniture, decor, walls, everything. Let me give you an example with the walls, for instance. I click on my wall. You can also add paint, materials, whatever you want. I have the coverings here. I choose, for example, a color. Now I'm going to go into my favorites. These are the colors I use very often in my project. I use the goat gray, which only goes on this wall. Well, I'm going to have several options. Should I apply this color to all the walls? Yes, it applies to all the walls. But I also have the option to click on Recent to be able to add the color to each wall individually. An incredible time saver. This is one of those little Omami features that lets you model things really quickly. I'm going to remove this door because if I'm making a master suite, it won't really be useful to me. I'm going to add some windows. All right, I go to Windows. I still have the subtabs. I look for the window I want. Just so you know, HomeByMe has a very extensive brand catalog. You'll find specific HomeByMe items, and you'll also find branded items. So that means here we have windows and doors. Whether it's a branded item or not, it doesn't really matter. But for everything related to furniture and decor, it lets you create your shopping lists really quickly and saves you a lot of time. So if you need to source items for your clients or do research online, you can do it directly. And I'll show you all in that. For windows and doors, just like with the door, you place it on a wall and resize it right away for placement. In the same way, you can change the direction it opens. The basics are done. The foundation of your project is done. To take it further, I recommend adding the baseboards. Always. To add the baseboards, it's really simple. You click on your floor, then click here on Edit, and all the way at the bottom, you'll see cornice, moldings, and baseboard. You click here, and the baseboards are added automatically. But you notice one thing, the baseboards are white while my walls are painted. What do? You click on Coding, then on Recent, and then here on Gray Chef. Now all your baseboards are the same color as your wall. It's that simple. For the floor, it's the same. If you want to change the floor, same thing. You have two options. Either you click on your floor, still in edit mode, and you can go into the coatings here and choose the floor you want from the category of your choice. So here, for example, parquet. If you want to put in parquet, which parquet should we use? Let's go with this one. And it gets applied. Let's say the herringbone planks here, the planks aren't facing the right way. They weren't laid in the right direction. Of course, you can change them. To change them, go all the way back to the top. Here, modify the pattern. And here, you have the option to change the orientation. 90 side. Oops, little bug, 90. Why? Well, it's here. For me, it's the heat. 90 here, rotation, degrees, 90. And you can even do 45 or 20. It's really up to you. What's great is that you'll be able to see the tile layout, and that's super useful for your projects. Okay, let's reset here, and reset here too. And now your whole room has been properly updated. Once you've done that, you already have the foundation of your project. You can and I also recommend doing this before you start furnishing. Change the ceiling height. If you don't have any other rooms to create inside, change the ceiling height. Do it right away because it's going to affect all the elements you'll be modeling in your project. To change the ceiling height, click at the very top in the room where you are. Edit the floors, and here you'll see that you can modify the floor you're on. I click here, and here I can rename my floor and change my ceiling height. Automatically, your floor will adjust to the correct ceiling height. It's really, really simple. You can edit your room heights, your ceiling heights for each floor every time. Another new feature on HomeByMe to add floors, it's the same here. To add floors, click on ground floor, since that's the room you're in. Edit floors. You're on the ground floor, so you'll be able to add a floor. You're going to name this new floor. So here, for example, I want to add a first floor. Level 1. Okay. Do I want to duplicate the existing floor? So do I want to duplicate my ground floor? Yeah. But HomeByMe lets you duplicate different elements. Do you want to duplicate all the elements that are on this ground floor? Do you also want to duplicate the doors, windows, and openings? Do you want to duplicate the materials and finishes as well? Do you want to duplicate the moldings? But also, everything that's grayed out, because I don't have any of those elements in my project yet, can also be duplicated. Do you want to duplicate the slope ceilings? Do you want to duplicate the furniture, stairs, exteriors, or floor elevations? You can duplicate everything, and it saves you a tremendous amount of time on your projects. You'll also be able to directly set the ceiling height of your choice. And here, you can actually tell HomeByMe which floor you want to duplicate. Let's say you're building an apartment building with several floors, but you want to duplicate one? On the first floor above ground, the floor that's in the basement, you just have to decide that you want to duplicate the basement floor to the first floor above ground. You're really the one in charge of your project. Here, right away, I have my level 1, which is the first floor above ground. I'm currently on the first floor above ground. I didn't check off siding, etc. But if I had checked siding, windows, doors, and so on, everything would have been duplicated automatically. If I want to switch back to the ground floor, I just switch back to the ground floor here. And you can add as many floors as you want, you can add as many basements as you want, And if you made a mistake, if that floor was actually supposed to be the ground floor, you just have to click here and drag it. Now it's at level -1, but don't forget to rename it. It's really, 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 really simple. And in your project, it's visible. You can clearly see the floor I just moved to the basement. So we don't get confused, I'm going to put it back to level R+1. There we go. And now my floor is correctly set to R+1. It's very simple. Once you've done that, you can start having fun, decorating and setting up your project. So, as I mentioned, what's great about HomeByMe is that we have a pretty extensive catalog of furniture, brands, and decorations. And HomeByMe has recently developed a new offering, actually. We are excited to start with Plum Living, which has just recently been added to our extensive library. Plum Living, for those of you who might not know yet, is a high-end French brand that specializes in customizing the standard cabinets from a major brand we all know and love, which is, of course, IKEA. I think they also do cabinets from Leroy Merlin. This lets you change out all the fronts of basic furniture. IKEA. It's truly an amazing brand. The quality is excellent. You have a huge, huge, huge selection of designs, colors, materials. You should definitely check out their website. And now, Plum Living has developed a catalog for closets. You should know that they also do closets, kitchens, and laundry rooms. But right now, we have all the closets. There are several specific closet options available on HomeByMe that you can add directly to your project. And of course, you can customize them. So here, I picked a standard piece of furniture. I added it to my project. We're going to place it right here. We're going to make it like a half wall. And when you click on it, you can obviously edit it. You can edit the height. So you can either keep it at 236 or set your piece to 210 and it will automatically update. And you can edit all the fronts. And here you can see that there are tons of different fronts. So this was something we used to do a lot a while back. Cane webbing fries, rattan, and so on. On Umami, we used to customize everything ourselves. But now, with Plain Living, you can get them directly. So that's really great. Of course, you can also add the number of doors, which affects the size of your furniture. So here, if you want a piece with 5 doors, 4 doors, 3 doors, and so on, you're really the one making the decisions. And of course, you can change the materials and colors of the doors, the frame, and the handles. And that's really going to appeal to a lot of people. You'll find some really, really beautiful handles offered here for your projects. Honestly, I really encourage you to try it out in your own projects. Plum Livin', you can see it's super comprehensive. Same thing here. It's everything I use just before in my catalog. And here you have all the colors that are available directly on the Plum Living website. So these aren't Ombani's colors, they're really the Plum Living colors. And you have the reference each time, which really lets you work much faster on your design when you create your project. So now let's pick a nice color here. Let's go with this one. The smoke color too. Do we have it? Do we have it? Do we have it? No, I don't have it, actually. I don't have it, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead. There we go. We'll place it here and I can duplicate it. So now you've changed all your furniture. I duplicate it, flip it, and I'll put it here, for example. That way I end up with a U-shaped closet. To position your furniture, you can place it like this, using the little cross here, or with the arrows you see. But I also recommend using the measuring tool. This is the positioning tool, which lets you place your object exactly where you want it and always have the right spacing. So here, for example, I thought my furniture was right up against the wall, but actually it's not at all. There's still a centimeter left. So I click on the 1 centimeter and set it to 0. And now my furniture is perfectly positioned. I want a spacing of 120 centimeters between the 2 pieces of furniture. I set it to 120. My furniture is now positioned at 120 centimeters. This really lets you place the elements exactly where they need to be. Plain and simple. So what are we going to put in our bedroom? We're going to place a bed. All right, so for the bed, let me show you the community content category. So in addition to all the categories you have here on Umami, like I showed you, the library, you also have tons of brands. Each time there are subcategories. You can even search by item or by brand. Here, you really have all the brands available on Umami. There's also what we call community content. So you'll find the community content all the way at the bottom here. Community content is a sub-tab, let's say, of the Omami library, which lets you access tons of extra items that have been added by all users, Omami users from all over the world. First, you have the My Content tab. Here, you'll find all the items you've downloaded yourself. And you have the community content. Here, you'll find all the items that the Omami community has downloaded. You can use them as many times as you want in your project. The only thing is, you can't change the size or color of the items. It's an imported object, and it was set up this way. You can only import it into your project and use it. But it still gives you endless possibilities for use. Here, you have a search bar that lets you look up beds directly. You see, there are several different beds. All right, let's add this one and delete that one. Perfect. I'm going back to the community content. There we go. And now I'll show you how. Import your own objects yourself. First, go to My Content and click on Import. You'll land on this page, and Omami will immediately tell you which formats are recommended and which formats are supported but not recommended. And here, it tells you that you can import your files. The idea is to simply drag and drop your files here. Just so you know. Just a heads up, importing 3D models is not the same as importing images. It really has to be a 3D model, meaning a model with depth. If you go to a website and you download an image, for example, if I take a screenshot, you won't be able to import your object. That won't be a 3D model. On the other hand, you can go to certain websites, and I think some of you are already familiar with 3D Warehouse because it's used in other design software, in other design tools. You can use this kind of site to download 3D models. I'm logged in, I already have an account, and that's great because all you have to do is create a profile. In 30 seconds, you can log in with, for example, your Google address. And now you'll be able to. I keep searching for sofa. Let's search for rug, for example. And here you can search however you want. You can search for whatever you want in terms of objects, 3D models. Let's search for, let's see, nightstand. Okay. And now you search for the nightstand of your choice. Here, you'll be able to download it. You will need to download it only as a collada file. That's the file format supported by HomeByMe. Here, you'll get your file, which is zipped and goes straight to your computer. That's the file you'll upload directly to HomeByMe. Do not, absolutely do not open it. Just drag it straight in. Once you've dragged it in, it goes directly onto your HomeByMe page. You have all the real-life dimensions of the object, just as it's sold in the store. If your object happens to be placed upside down in your project, you can rotate it right here. Here, for example, this is an object that can be resized. For instance, earlier, I used the example of the rug. A rug can come in several different sizes. Of course, you can change the dimensions to suit your needs. Then you click Next. You can then reframe to take a nice picture of your object. Download, and you'll simply categorize your object so you can find it more easily, like a nightstand. That's mainly for other users, since you'll already have it in your content. But for other users, if they search for a nightstand, well, this will help them find it. Okay, or not. If I don't have it, well, I'll just type table. That way, it'll help them find the object more easily. You also have the option to set this object as private content. If you want to keep it just for yourself and not share it with the community, that's totally fine. Even keep it for yourself. In just a few minutes, you'll see that your object is being processed. In a few minutes, you'll see that it will be available and you'll be able to add it directly to your project. As you can see, I have already downloaded a ton, really a ton of objects. I can use them right away. In my project, and as you can see, it's super easy to download and add furniture. Here, I'm going back. So now I'm back in the community content category, but I can switch straight to the Home by Me catalog and library. I'm gonna search for rugs again. I can look at all the rugs available, but to save time, I'm gonna use a filter. I'm gonna search by color. All right, I want a beige rug, or maybe I'm torn between that and a white one. I'm searching, searching, searching. Oh, I really like this one. I'm adding it to my project. I'm adding it to my project. It's a branded item, so it's from CB2, but I see that I can edit it and change the dimensions. That looks awesome. It's exactly 300 by 200. And I've added it to my project. There we go. Let's make it just a little bit smaller. Yeah, 290. And now, that's pretty good. I want to create a nice headboard for myself, for example, with... There, I duplicate it. I want to create a nice headboard for myself, for example, with materials or a textured panel. There we go. Well, I'm going to use what's called the parametric image. The parametric image will simply let me import materials directly into my HomeByMe project. The parametric image, you can see it's a flat surface here. It's a flat surface, and I changed the size. It's a flat surface, but you'll be able to change it. I'm moving to get a better view. There you go. But you'll be able to change the dimensions. So here, for example, 100. I want 200, and I want 250 in height, or rather in width. And here, I want a low height. But why? It's because I want to use it on a wall. So to be able to use it on a wall, I'll need to change the angle. I set it to 90 degrees, and that immediately makes the width become my height, while the length stays the same. My width, in a way, my height becomes my depth. When you scroll down a bit, you have materials, freeform shapes. And here, you'll be able to import images directly or types of finishes that you want right onto your parametric image. Let me give you some examples. Right now, you have those rock effect panels that are really popular. You have an awesome rock effect panel here. You want to use it on Unbody. You're not really sure how to integrate it and so on. Take a screenshot of that object. Go back to your Home by Me library. Click here on Download, and you'll import that screenshot directly. Wait a moment, and just like that, my screenshot will be added directly into Home by Me. Personally, I import a ton of materials. I have travertine, I have marble, I have a lot of things. Besides materials, of course, you'll also be able to import images. It won't be textured, but that's okay because what we really want is just a material effect on the wall. A material. Once it's imported, now be careful at first. The size of your element affects how you'll see it. If you took a screenshot of a really large object and then make it really small, obviously the elements will be really cramped together. So make sure you pay attention to what you want to display. And then it's up to you to resize the element however you want. Here, I want to put it on my wall. To make sure it's perfectly placed on my wall, I use this tool here. And no, of course it doesn't snap into place automatically. I nudge it just a little, and now I've got it stuck to my wall. I'm at 2.4 meters high. I'm at 2.45. Oh, right, I had changed it to 2.45. I'm adjusting it to 2.45. Perfect. Here, I want to add, for example, another panel. But I really want a real panel with some texture, a bit of a relief effect. Not tasso, but a little grooved, you see? Like this. Well, I have some on Umami. I just type it tasso. Well, panel, sorry. Here we go. So now I can. Of course, resize it, adjust the height. So I'm going to set it to 2.45. I want to change the color. I want it to be the same color as my wall. I don't have it anymore. Not here anymore. I'll go back to my favorites. I'll pick my goat gray. And now I'm gonna stick it right onto my wall. There we go. I've got a little, not really a bug, but it's moving around quite a bit. So 370, I'm gonna push it. And now I'll set it to 0, and it's perfectly on my wall. In 15 minutes, I've already done quite a lot. So that's pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with the room we're working on right now. What else? What else can I show you? What else can I show you? So I've just shown you the wall coverings, specifically on a wall, but for example, this type of covering, if you want to build things with it, if you want to make a table or whatever, you can. Here, I'm duplicating it. It's just to show you, even though this is a master suite. And we're not going to put a big table in the master suite, but for example, if I wanted to make a dining table instead, there we go. I put it back. I put my piece back horizontally. I'm going to change the height instead to make the thickness of my table. And for example, I am going to change it, make it 90 by 160. Now I have my tabletop with that through effect. And I just create table legs with this through effect. Very quick to do. Here at 160, I'm making a table height of 75. I'm changing it. Here, I'm actually showing you more than I was supposed to. Now I'm really showing you the customizations. This is to take it a step further. As I can see, I know there are people who have already tried out the design tools a bit. The HomeByMe library is going to be very simple for you to use. Here, I'm really showing you the details so I can customize and create, really do something tailor-made, but you already have everything on HomeByMe. And here, in just a few minutes, I've created a table, a desk, a tabletop, whatever you mag. If I wanted to have central legs instead, boom, I just put them here. Well, it's not as nice, right? Boom, it's better looking like this. The problem is now, if I want to move my table because it's not in the right spot, I'm not going to bother moving every single element. That would take way too long. What I'm going to do is group everything together. I've selected everything here, I group it all, and if I deselect, of course, I can move my elements around. And I can do this with anything. For example, if I put my bed here, but in the end I prefer it over there, I'm not going to move every single piece one by one. I'm going to select everything. Here, I select everything. And to select, it's really simple. You hold down the Command key on your computer and select everything. You let go, click on Group, and you'll be able to move all your elements in just a few moments. I delete this. Here, I click again. I rotate and place it. And we're good. You can really do anything. Oh, that's not bad. So what else can we have? You also have subcategories on HomeByMe. So we've seen quite a bit of furniture, but you also have decorations. For example, plants that you can directly add on HomeByMe. And if what you find in the library doesn't suit you, don't forget that you always have community content available. Here, I'm gonna search for plants in my community content. I do a quick search, looking for the nicest plant for my project. What beautiful plant can we get? For example, a pretty plant, a nice plant. All right, here we go. A plant a little further over here because I want to create a little coffee corner for myself. Well, here I have my plants. For example, I am going to look for a small armchair. I'll go to the living room section. I want some seating and I want an armchair. There's also the new brand, Luculus, that just arrived, which is actually a really good brand for furnishing small spaces. Because there are a lot of convertible furniture pieces here. So if you need to furnish studios or small bedrooms, things like that, don't hesitate to use these items. Luculus, it's a very simple item, but honestly, you can do quite a lot with it. And here, every time, you can directly change the colors of the elements. It's actually pretty good. There you go, so that's great. Let's do the same and look for a round rug, for example. If I search for round rug, do I have some good options in my community content? Yes. There we go. We can do it. We can add a little painting. Let's add a painting and I'll show you something else. Custom painting. Customizable. Customizable painting, as you can see, the photo is identical to the parametric image I showed you earlier. Except here, it's a customizable painting, which means you can import any images you want. Let's say you're on some signs, and you have... All right, let's put this one in. You have this frame here that you love, but you know you actually can't make a... Oh, wait, here, I can. No, I think it's going to be on the web. Usually, actually, you can't download the images because they're protected. Just like with the parametric image, you're going to take a screenshot of this image, unless, of course, you can actually download it. If you can download it, that's even better. You take a screenshot. You come back here, you're still in your images, and you import it. Here, you see, you have... I think it's because there are a lot of us in this masterclass, and that's why it's taking a little while to download. But here, you can see that the articles, the images I downloaded earlier were still being edited. Once that's done, you just have to click on it and import it. Here, I'm showing you with another image that I had downloaded. Just click on it, and it imports directly into your frame. Then you just go back a step to, of course, adjust the dimensions. For example, if I want it to be 100 by 160, a really large image, let's say 140. Otherwise, it gets a bit distorted, and now you have your beautiful image in your project. It's really, really, really fast. That's what's really cool about HomeByMe. To place spotlights, light fixtures, or LED strips, you can do that too. You just go straight to decoration and lighting, and each time you just search for the items you want. It's super, super, super simple. Same thing, if you don't find the item you want directly in that category, don't hesitate to go to the community content and search directly for pendant light. And you can look for the pendant light of your choice. This one is great, but you don't have the little pendant. No worries, you can create it yourself. You're not going to leave it like that because right now it's just floating, but you can create it yourself. And to create it yourself, you have elements called freeform shapes. And honestly, I think you're going to love freeform shapes because you can do anything with them. Right now, I'm in the community content section. That's not where I want to be, but rather in the HomeByMe library, under freeform shapes, you're simply going to use a cylinder, which you'll obviously resize. This will actually be the wire you want to have. Here, I made a mistake with the dimensions. I'm going to set it to 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters here, and for example, 160. That gives you the cable for your pendant light. You can see it here. And I switched to 2D so I can position it. These are little tips like this that I'm giving you for designing, but of course, this is really only if you don't want the items offered on HomeByMe. There you go, but honestly, with everything that's available on HomeByMe, I think you probably won't even need to create your own objects if you want to go fast. And there you go, my pendant light is now properly positioned. That's it for all of that. Well, listen, I'm really happy because I showed you quite a few things for creating visuals. Yes, for making visuals. You also have the photo studio right here. There are several categories. The first category I'm going to show you is the 2D plans. I'm going to name my project Masterclass 31.5. To save, you have to. Sorry. To edit and to go into the photo studio, you have to save your project beforehand. So that's why I did it. And now you have several options. Here, floor plan, all the way at the bottom, I have the settings. I can choose to display my furniture, to show my finishes, or not. It's up to you. And each time, for everything you choose, you can take a screenshot. It only takes 30 seconds. You have an information box that brings together all the details about your project, the current room, or the current floor. You can choose to display the names if you've named your rooms. Show the area, show the annotations, the dimensions. Everything. Then it's up to you to decide if you want the dimensions to be small, large, medium, the color of the walls, the rotation directly if it's placed, and the scale. You have everything, and in 30 seconds, you generate your image. That's for the 2D plans. Next, you have the photo studio for realistic images. So you have something else. You have the aerial view. You also have videos. I'll try to show you everything. Realistic images to simply create your visuals in your room. So as soon as you click on it, HomeByMe puts you directly into photo studio mode. And what's great is that HomeByMe does the hard work for you. It already gives you preset cameras based on the room you're in and the layout you've created. So each time, you just have to switch from one camera to another. You have several settings here, but everything's already configured if you use the cameras. Balmy, so that means the tilt is already set, already at 0. The height is already set to 110. That's really the height you should keep for your visuals, and you have a zoom set to X2. You have the option to change the zoom. It's not necessarily something I recommend because it will, the focal length will be much wider and much tighter. But you can do as you like. Once you have that, you can place your project in an environment. Right next to it, you have ambient, and that simply lets you choose the atmosphere you want to be in. Standard, golden hour, Nordic, or night. Each time for every ambience, you'll be able to set the background image. Whether you're in the countryside, in the city, if it's an apartment building and you can see the sky, whatever you want. In 30 seconds, you set that up and launch your visual. Of course, you can create visuals in 4K if you have the capability. Just to show you, you also have the option to create 360-degree images in your room. So that's actually pretty good to really see things clearly with panoramic images. Same thing, it's super, super simple. All right, well, halfway through, it guides you really quickly. You have the aerial view. Again, it's kind of a mode, either 2D or 3D. Okay, let me show you. A 3D mode here or 2D here. And you also have the option to place your plan in the setting and get 4K quality. Next, you have the videos. So the videos let you create this kind of studio-like video. And again, HomeByMe makes things even easier by giving you some pre-made videos. So here, as you can see, you have your camera's position. And each time, you'll be able to preview what it looks like before editing your video. And it's based on a credit system. And every time, you can choose exactly where you want it in your room. Here, obviously, the video isn't great because my room is pretty empty. But you'll see that once your project is well done, when it's really, I've set it up nicely, I plug in my computer, it's well set up. You'll be able to make great videos. And same thing, all of that. In just a few minutes, you'll be able to have them in your project. Let me take a quick moment, and then we'll do the Q&A session to show you some visuals from HomeByMe. From certain projects. All right, let's take a look at this one, for example. Media. And you'll see that the photos haven't been edited at all. They're exactly as they were uploaded to Endami. So every time you download visuals, they'll end up in the media section. I'm gonna start, and instead I'll show you the living room, or it'll be much better. All right. There you go. And here, these are visuals you can create with HomeByMe. You see, that's the little lamp we tested and that I added, same with the pendant light. These are the kinds of visuals you can create with HomeByMe. So by using materials, community content, or objects directly from the HomeByMe library, you can do a ton of things. What other project? I can show you. You have some slightly smaller rooms. Here, these are really big rooms, but you also have some slightly smaller rooms. For example, you have this project here as well. Same thing, you have, oh, I should have shown you the kitchens too. Again, these aren't photos that have been retouched. It's truly 4K quality. So you get really beautiful quality directly on HomeByMe. Afterwards, if you want to change the quality, you can. But honestly, it's already really perfect. For HomeByMe, for the visuals you're going to create, I wanted to show you the kitchen from the project because you can also design kitchens directly on HomeByMe. Just so you know, at the end of the year, you'll have a new kitchen configurator that's going to be even more advanced. For those who are used to it, I don't know if there are any former kitchen designers here, or even people who sometimes like to have fun designing kitchens directly for their clients. At IKEA, Leroy Merlin, Brico Depot, Bricorama, and so on. The planner, the kitchen configurator at those brands is actually HomeByMe. That's why it's super intuitive, by the way. I do it all the time on IKEA. And at the end of the year, basically what I'm saying is that at the end of the year, we're going to have a new configurator, a kitchen configurator directly on HomeByMe, which will be even more advanced. Already, I still think you can make beautiful things. These are kitchen cabinets. We're already making great things, but now we'll do even more advanced work. And it's really going to be pretty cool. So that's it for all of that. And what I wanted to show you is this. In your projects, don't hesitate to use artificial lighting. It's very important. Beyond natural light, so beyond all the windows and openings you'll have in your project, don't hesitate to use artificial lighting. Spotlights, LEDs, light fixtures, wall sconces, LED strips. Inside your cabinets, go for it. It changes everything and really gives your projects a whole new dimension. Imagine if I had actually removed all those tracks and LED strips. LEDs, so it takes some time to install them and so on. Sure, it takes a bit of time, but honestly, it really upgrades the whole look. So don't skimp on those details in your projects. Just know that every detail you add to your projects makes a difference. And that's really what makes your projects look a lot more professional than others. That's why Home by Me is awesome, because it's super easy to use and you can really create projects very quickly. But if you take the time to go even further and customize your projects by adding design details, who would think that a 3D design tool created this? Sometimes clients tell me it's not possible, that it's just a photo I took. No, not at all. Absolutely not. And it's only 4K. You see, this is 4K here. So that's it for all of that. I'm happy because I showed you a ton of things. I've talked a lot. I've given you tons of tips. I hope you enjoy that. We're going to switch over now. I'm switching right over to the chat now. Wow, there are a lot of messages. I think Melissa got overwhelmed with messages, but in any case, I hope it's all positive. We're going to wrap up this masterclass. In any case, I really want to thank you for being here. There were so many great questions. Lots of curiosity and discussion, etc. Just so you know, we hold masterclasses every month. Also, feel free to follow Home by Me on Instagram and Facebook. We also post tutorials. I make tutorials directly on YouTube and on the Home by Me page. We post them pretty regularly with the new planner since there are so many new features. Don't hesitate to check out the first tutorials, which cover the overall interface of the planner. And you'll see that we'll be posting them quite regularly as well. So really, don't hesitate to take a quick look at Onbuy's YouTube channel. Otherwise, that's great. Well, if there aren't any more questions, that's awesome. Thank you very much for your participation. I wish you a wonderful sunny day. For 3/4 of France, I think, if you're all in France. Enjoy, take care of yourselves, and we'll see each other again very, very soon.
Hands up in the sky.